Hello, friends, and welcome into NFL Daily. Time for a look at the NFL playoff picture made possible by our friends over at Manscaped. You can head over to manscaped.com/chat to get 20% off and get free shipping. Now, for those of you who have been subscribed for a while, you know the drill by now. We'll take a look at the AFC and the NFC in general and then dive in more in depth. We'll get things going here first up with the AFC playoff picture. The Steelers remain at the number 1 spot. The Chiefs, number 2. And then the Bills, Colts, Titans, and Browns, all 7-3. They are 3 through 6. The Raiders, Ravens, and Dolphins are all 6-4. And I guess technically the Broncos, Patriots lurking at 4-6. We'll break down the tiebreakers involving those in a little bit. But I do want to briefly mention the NFC overview here as well, folks. The Saints are 8-2. And then the Rams, Packers, Seahawks, and the Bucks have 7 wins. Bucks have 4 losses because, well, the schedule's weird this year in the NFL. The Cardinals lurking at 6-4. The Bears kind of in the mix at 5-5. Their quarterback play's been a disaster. And then the NFC East, I put them there at the very bottom. 3-7, a half game back because that division is absolute garbage this year. All right, I want you guys to shout out your favorite NFL team for me in the comments section. In fact, this will be the pinned comment, so you can go on down and fight nicely and yell and argue about your favorite NFL team. So head on down and let me know who you're repping in the comments section. Let's talk more in depth now about the AFC, team by team. We'll begin with the number 1 seed currently, the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're coming off a blowout win over the Jacksonville Jaguars in Week 11 because the Jags are bad and Pittsburgh's pretty good. They have one of their toughest tests of the season upcoming. It is a home game for them, but the Ravens are coming to town for Thanksgiving this week. The evening game, the nightcapper, should be a good one. The Steelers are a 4-point favorite in this one, as the Ravens, who we'll discuss more in depth in a little bit, they're not looking all that great right now. They got some issues really on both sides of the football, but the offense has been probably the bigger issue right there. The Steelers' schedule, once you get past the Ravens, it's really not that daunting. So let me know in the comments section, when are the Steelers going to lose a game? Of course, the Ravens is a tough one, but then it's Washington, Buffalo in a primetime game. Potentially that could make some sense, but then it's Bengals, Colts, Browns. They're going to lose one at some point. I don't think they're going to go undefeated. So let me know when you think the Steelers will lose. Let's go to the number 2 seed in the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'm sorry, Mitch, but everyone and their brother knew the Chiefs were going to come back and win that game against the Raiders. That was just too perfect a moment for Patrick Mahomes. They get another tough test against the Bucks in Week 12. All right, the Bills, they check in as the number 3 seed coming off of their bye. They, of course, have the tiebreaker over the Indianapolis Colts due to best win percentage in conference games. The Bills are 5-2, and the Colts are 3-3. In fact, all 3 of the Colts' losses this year have come in conference. That's why they check in as the number 4 seed. They're coming off a critical win over the Green Bay Packers, and they have now yet another massive matchup against Tennessee Titans. For the time being, the Colts have the 4 seed because they have the head-to-head advantage over Tennessee, but that could go away. The Titans right now are the number 5 seed. They have the same record as the Cleveland Browns, and they have that based on best win percentage in conference games, 5-3 versus 4-3. But the Colts are playing host to Tennessee this week. They won on the road on Thursday Night Football back in Week 10. Now in Week 12, one of the best games of the week, the 1 p.m. slot on CBS. The Colts, a 3.5-point favorite, a revenge game for Tennessee. I think it's going to be a good one. So who do you guys have in this particular matchup? Get your votes in for me. Type T for the Titans or type C for the Colts. Kind of a fun matchup of strengths versus strengths and weaknesses versus weaknesses. Colts defense is pretty damn good, despite the points they allowed to the Green Bay Packers. Tennessee's offense is strong. Their defense hasn't been that great, and the Colts' offense has at times held them back a little bit. All right, the Cleveland Browns, the bottom of the 7-3 team, still the number 6 seed, though. And look, I know it's not been pretty. The games that the Browns have been winning, I mean 22-17 against the Eagles, in part due to bad weather, the close game against the Houston Texans. But they're winning football games. The Browns are 7-3. you're a Cleveland fan, man, just enjoy it. You're a couple games away from making the postseason, something that hasn't happened very often for that franchise. All right, the last of the current seeds in the AFC picture, the Las Vegas Raiders. They win the tiebreakers over Miami and Baltimore due to the best win percentage in conference games. The Raiders are 4-3. Now, the Raiders' effort against Chiefs this year has been wildly impressive. And if they can get to 10 wins, I think they make the postseason. And they've got just 2 games left above teams or against teams above 500. The Raiders should be a 10-win team if they take care of business the rest of the way. One of the major disappointments this year, but still alive in the playoff mix, the Baltimore Ravens. Then they get this current 8 seed, quote-unquote, not really a seed, over Miami based on strength of victory. That's how far they're going to get the tiebreaker there. I kind of think this upcoming game for the Ravens is basically a must-win matchup. If they fall to 6-5, if they can't beat the Steelers, I think the confidence is going to be shaken. If they can take down Pittsburgh, though, which I kind of think they're going to this week, that'll be a huge boost for morale for that team and get them back on the right track. Things had been setting up really well for the Dolphins. They'd won a bunch of games in a row, and then they did not play well against the Denver Broncos. The offense looked a little bit lost. There should be a get-right game coming up against the Jets this week, but after that, the schedule gets a lot tougher for Miami. They were probably going to need that Denver Broncos game. They can still get to 10 wins, but they're going to have to beat a bunch of good teams down the stretch. That loss for Miami, which we didn't really see coming, that could come back to hurt them in a significant way. Look, in reality, there are 9, and if you want to include Denver or New England, okay, sure, playoff caliber teams. But there are only 7 spots. So which 2 AFC teams are going to get left out of the playoffs? And if you want to include Denver as one of them, I guess tell me which 3 teams get left out, but I don't think Denver's going to make it. So let me know in the comments section, which 2 AFC teams don't make it in 2020? Well, technically 2021. Now, we got a great deal for you guys from our friends over at Manscaped. Head over to manscaped.com/chat. You can get 20% off and free shipping on the Perfect Package and all of their great products. Those boxers, by the way, the most comfortable ones you will ever own. I'd show you them, but that's kind of weird, so I'm not going to do it. But again, 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com/chat. The Lawnmower 3.0, it's waterproof. The Perfect Package, it comes with the boxers and a very useful little carrying travel case as well. So check the comments. We'll put that link in the description too. We'll put the link in there for you guys. It's manscaped.com/chat. Over now to the NFC, where once again the 1 seed through the 6 seed, really. I mean, they're separated by a game. I guess maybe a game and a half for the Bucs. But either way, the Saints right now are the number 1 seed. They have gotten hot despite having, or not having, I should say, Drew Brees. Taysom Hill, I mean, they made it work. I'm not convinced it's a long-term thing, but he wasn't terrible, and the Saints took down the Falcons. They improved to 8-2 with a game against the Broncos coming up this week. The LA Rams have the number 2 seed as the NFC West continues to just kind of rotate who gets one of the higher seeds here. They win the tiebreaker over Green Bay based on best win percentage in conference games. The Rams are 7-1 in those games this year. I'll tell you what's been most impressive for me. This Rams defense has been awesome. I mean, they're playing an undrafted free agent in corners, making great plays for him. Ramsey's been good. The Rams defense without Wade Phillips has been very impressive this season. Now, if you guys want constant NFL videos, updates, news, playoff picture, all that clinching scenarios, once we get to that point, there were none this week. Shout out the Jets, though, for being eliminated from the playoff race. If you want NFL updates, and for free every day, hit that big red button and subscribe. That way you don't miss out on anything we got going on here at Chat Sports. The Green Bay Packers lost a heartbreaker in overtime to the Colts last week. They are 7-3. They have the number 3 seed. And in the end, it's pretty tough for me to picture Green Bay finishing below that 3 seed. The NFC East winner's not going to catch them. The Bears are a full 2 games back, and they don't look particularly great. So I think it's 3 or higher in terms of seeding this year for Green Bay. Oh, the NFC East. You don't deserve a playoff spot. The Eagles still have the number 4 seed. They are 3-6-1, but the schedule's getting tough. Carson Wentz looks like a broken person. He looks terrible out there. He's gone from MVP candidate to legitimately one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Maybe the worst if you factor in the contract situation that the Eagles have with him right now. Wentz is a mess. The Eagles are a mess. The entire NFC East is a disaster right now. They're all separated by a half game. Cowboys-Washington, Thanksgiving Day. That's going to be a potential winner might take first place in the NFC East game because I don't think the Eagles are going to beat the Seahawks this week. See what the Giants end up doing. So let me know in the comments, who's going to end up winning the NFC least this year? Or I should say, who will end up not losing the division? We'll talk double negatives there because this division sucks. Type D for the Dallas Cowboys, W for the Washington football team, P for the Philadelphia Eagles, or N for the New York Giants. All right, the number 5 seed, the Seattle Seahawks, just barely behind the LA Rams, head-to-head playing a factor in that one as well. Look, they're 7-3. They're coming off a big-time win over the Cardinals, and the schedule is going to start to get a little bit easier for Seattle. I think that will help. Hopefully, they can get a little bit healthier, namely in the secondary there. But I don't think Seattle is out of the race for that number 1 seed either. And speaking of that number 1 seed, who's going to get it? I'm going to go with the Saints. I think that defense has shown a lot more growth in the past month or so, maybe 2 months if you want to go back that far. I'm going to go with the Saints, but the Rams, the Packers, the Seahawks, heck, even the Bucs are all in the mix. Speaking of the Bucs, they have not yet had their bye, but they'll get it soon. They're coming off a painful loss to the Rams on Monday Night Football. Look, Tom Brady, especially in prime time, he hasn't been very good. Now, I tried to warn everyone that the Bucs were going to be a good team. The defense is solid, but I didn't think Brady was the same guy he was in his prime, and he's not, but he's still a good football player. I just was confused how he went from, yeah, we all agree Brady's was not a top 10 quarterback last year to, oh, yeah, he's still going to be a top 5 this year. That just didn't make any sense to me. And the schedule doesn't get easier this week for Tampa Bay. The Kansas City Chiefs are coming to town, a potential passing of the proverbial baton in terms of top quarterback in the NFL, at least for this generation. Brady with Mahomes there. Only a 3-point spread. It's a road game for Kansas City. It's a little bit low. I kind of like the Chiefs in that one there. But let me know what you guys are thinking here. Who you got in this game? Type KC for the Chiefs, or you can type in your TB for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Moving on now to the Arizona Cardinals, the number 7 seed right now with a full game lead over the Chicago Bears. Now, they're coming off a disappointing loss on Thursday Night Football to Seattle, but those games are always weird. The Patriots, meanwhile, are coming to town in Week 12. New England's been a difficult out. I mean, they should have beat the Bills, by the way, if Cam Newton had not fumbled. So Arizona, the 7 seed, then the Bears and Vikings. But I'll tell you what, unless Chicago suddenly figures out its offense, I feel pretty good about these 7 teams we just discussed being the 7 playoff teams in the NFC.